Hello, my name's Marlon. I've had a number of friends and acquaintances ask me the question of what exactly is a target rifle, or what is a competitive rifle look like that's used for long distance shooting, and how does it differ from other rifles? So I thought I'd make a bit of a video showing off one of my competitive rifles and highlighting how they may be slightly different than a regular hunting rifle. First, maybe let's start by going through the basic parts of the rifle. We've got optics, we've got a barrel, we've got a stock, we've got the action, and we've got the trigger. Now, typically all rifles are going to have those types of components. Some may not have a scope, but may have iron sights. But other than that, they all, generally speaking, have those components. Now, what is essentially different? Let me just start by talking about some generalities. The first thing is your target rifle is going to be heavier. Why? Because a heavier rifle is going to sit nicer when you're shooting it. It's going to have less recoil, and that's going to make you just generally more accurate, right? And it's going to be easier to shoot because the heavier the gun, the easier it is to shoot because of the less recoil. So you get more mass typically because you've got a heavier barrel, your stock is heavier, and a lot of times your sighting system is heavier. The other generality is, I'll say, in precision and tolerance. The manufacturing techniques used to manufacture your barrel, your optics, your action, and even your stock are much higher than your average hunting rifle. And because of that, you pay for that in cost. And in weight a lot of times as well. So let me maybe just start by going through the different components and talking briefly about why they're used in this type of application. Your optics. Three parts, generally speaking, to optics. You've got tactical turrets. That's used to make your adjustments based on how far you're going to be shooting. You have your glass, your optics. Typically, again, you're going to be having higher magnifications because you're shooting at longer distances, and your quality of glass is going to be better, again, also increasing the cost and weight of your system. And last but not least, the manufacturing techniques and the tolerances used to make the scope and your tactical turrets need to be done with great precision and reliability, so you're getting a consistent placement every time. Now, having said that, you need to tie your optics to your rifle. And you do that through your scope rings. And one of the things I see are a lot of people will buy expensive optics, expensive rifle, and put on a real flimsy set of inexpensive rings. And really, you're doing yourself a disservice, because these rings are really holding your optics in place and connecting them to the rifle. And you want these things to be as robust as you can to make it one system, okay? So don't cheap out on rings. This particular scope is a Night Force. I think it's a, there we go, 12 to 42 zoom type of Night Force scope. Good optics, works well. They're not inexpensive. For top of the line optics, Night Force, Schmidt & Bender, you're looking at $2,000 to $3,000 typically just for the scope. Rings typically anywhere from $100 to $250 for a good set of rings. Next, maybe let's talk about the barrel. We're talking about a heavier barrel in all target rifles. mostly because you're shooting round after round. Your barrel tends to heat up, and you need the mass of the barrel to keep the barrel temperature down as much as possible. So again, you want a heavier barrel of a thicker contour. And again, this is a custom barrel. This is a Kruger barrel, and it is hand honed. So if you were to look inside the bore, it looks like a perfectly straight hole, and it looks like glass. It's been polished to that extent. Good barrels, Hart, Kruger, Schillen, a number of good custom barrel makers out there. You tell them what you want, and they come back with a great barrel. The barrel is connected to the action. The action is where the bullets or ammo goes into the gun, and you close the bolt, and away you go. Now you can just feel the tolerances of this, how nicely that moves in and out, and how nicely it closes. Again, we're talking tolerances here. The tolerances and trueness of the action and the barrel combined to, made up to have your shooting system, and the tolerance here have to be impeccable, and that's really what you're paying for, really, with a full custom action and barrel. Typical examples of actions. This one happens to be a Defiance. Other actions, there's BAT, Bernard, RPA, a number of custom actions out there that do a great job at producing very nice and well-made precision actions. All this basically sits on a stock. When you want to put a stock on a rifle, you're looking for something that's going to be robust, that's not going to move around with weather changes, that you can have your system bed, which is really sitting in an epoxy that hardens up so that it's fits like a glove, your action, your barrel to your stock. Now the stock is really the interface between the shooter and the rifle, so it really, a lot of shooter preference comes in here. But aside from that, it needs to fit the individual. So when you sit down or lay down behind your gun, you can see that when it sits behind your shoulder, I've got a really nice setup here, where with the correct amount of distance, pull distance here, and then when I lay down and I sit down like this, what I see is my eye is fully in line with the scope. My cheek weld is right here, and it's consistent, and it feels great and comfortable. That's what you want. So different shooting styles, different body types, length of arms, a whole bunch of things come into what feels good for the shooter, and that goes into the stock you're going to pick. All this combined creates your shooting platform. In F-Class, we use a rear bag and a front stabilization system. It can be a bipod, or it can be a stationary mount such as this. And that is, again, because you're shooting at such long distances, you really need to stabilize your shooting position to get that accuracy at long distances. Hopefully that answers most of your questions. If you have any, let me know, and I'll see if I can answer them. Thank you.